They don't need to say anything. I can feel it. The silence is a thick, suffocating weight, heavier than the stones we stacked to trap the dying fire. They won't look me in the eyes. Some shift when I pass. Others just freeze, like prey who knows the predator is near, but I am not the predator. I came back alone, yes, but I didn't bring the darkness. It found us. It took her. I couldn't stop it. The wind moans through the cave's mouth like a wounded animal, dragging in cold dust and questions. Inside we are ghosts pretending to be alive, huddled around, flickers of heat and memory. The fire crackles low, too low. We should feed it, but no one moves. No one dares. She sits across from me. The mother, her hair, once braided tight with care, is now wild, falling over her face like branches hiding a broken tree. She doesn't cry. She doesn't scream. She just stares, her eyes to dark pits where something used to live. A mother with no child, a tree with no root. I was the last to see her daughter. That's what they know. That's what matters. The girl, small, curious, faster than most boys, followed me when we left to track the herd. She wasn't supposed to come. I told her to stay. With gestures, not words. We don't have many words anymore. Our tongues grew tired of trying when the cold years came. So now we speak with hands, with eyes, with drawings on stone. I signed stay. She smiled, that crooked smile, then signed I am not afraid. She always said that, even when the thunder rolled across the mountain, even when the wolves circled closer to the cave at night. I saw the herd. I crept forward. She was gone. I searched. I swear on the marrow of my bones I searched. Through thickets, past thorn bushes that tore my arms. I called, the old way with clicks, with the bird whistle she liked. Nothing answered. I came back at dusk, alone. Now they look at me like I traded her for meat, like I sacrificed her to the spirits for an easier hunt. But I came back with nothing, not even blood on my hands. The elder stands now, his spine curved like a river. Bones hanging from his neck clink together as he moves. He raises a hand not to bless, not to combat, to accuse. His finger points at me, slow, like the sun crawling across a dead sky. I do not look away. If I blink, they will say I lie. If I flinch, they will say I hide shame. So I stay still, though my insides churn like river mud before the flood. The mother rises. Her movements are stiff, like her joints have rusted from sorrow. She picks up a piece of charcoal from beside the fire and walks to the cave wall. Her hand moves slowly, deliberately. She draws two figures, one tall, one small. The tall one holds the small one's hand. Then, another drawing. The tall one returns alone. The small one is gone. She turns, pushes the charcoal toward me, a challenge, a question, a demand. I take it. I hold it so tightly it snaps. I don't draw. What would I draw? The thorns that tore my arms, the silence that swallowed it, the darkness between the trees where something breathed but never showed its face. No drawing would bring her back. Drawing would stop their fear from turning into hate. The fire pops, sparks shoot into the air, then vanish. Like her daughter, the shaman walks around us. His painted face is cracked, dry. He hums a low sound. Not music, a vibration of warning. He circles me, then sits. The others watch. No one eats, no one sleeps. They wait for the spirits to whisper for a sign, for someone to scream so they don't have to. But nothing comes. Only the cold, only the charcoal in my hand, only the empty space where she should be. My name is Care. I have no brother, no woman, no tribe now. Only this silence, and their eyes, and the weight of a child's absence. I lie down. I do not close my eyes. The fire dims. Shadows stretch long across the cave, climbing the walls like silent witnesses. The wind howls again outside. It sounds like her laugh. Or maybe that's just what I want to hear. Tomorrow they will decide. Tomorrow they will point with more than fingers. They will decide what to do with me. And I will not speak, because in this time there are no words, only fire, only stone, only silence. Sleep never comes, not real sleep, just the kind that drifts close enough to steal warmth, then vanishes when the dreams turn sharp. My eyes burn, but I keep them open. Around me the tribe breathes in uneven rhythms. Some snore, others twitch, but no one dreams good things anymore. Not since the snow started falling too early. Not since the herd split. Not since she disappeared. I sit up. My back aches, my legs are stiff. I haven't moved since I lay down. The fire is nothing now, just embers. Still alive, but barely. Like me. I stare into it, into the flicker of orange and red, and the shadows dancing in its glow. I see her there, not her body, her spirit. A memory shaped by light and smoke. Her laugh, her eyes, the way she'd steal scraps when she thought. No one noticed, but I always noticed. They blame me. I can feel it heavier now than ever. The silence is growing teeth. Soon it will bite. A figure stirs near the wall. The boy Cern, not yet a hunter, but already sharp-eyed. He watches me, then looks away when I catch him. He's afraid. Afraid of what I might say. Afraid I might say nothing. The unknown is worse than guilt. I rise slowly. Bones crack. I grip the stone wall for balance and walk to the edge of the cave. The wind outside tastes of snow. The sky is black, but not empty. The stars blink like eyes watching, judging. Or maybe just old, too old to care. I kneel and place my hand on the ground. Cold, dry. She ran this way. I feel it somewhere beyond the hills. She vanished. Was it the spirits? A beast? Did she fall? I saw no blood. But that doesn't mean she's alive. I close my eyes and try to feel her, the way the old ones feel the bones before a hunt. But all I feel is the wind and the slow ache in my chest. Behind me, footsteps, soft, careful. I turn. It's the shaman. He doesn't speak. He never does. He lifts a bone carved with symbols and holds it above my head. He shakes it once, twice, a third time. The sound is hollow. Then he points to the cave. To the tribe, then to me, then to the stars. It is the beginning of the ritual. The judgment will come with the dawn. I have until then to prove I am not what they fear. Until then to find the truth. Or die with it buried beneath my silence. I nod. The shaman leaves. The cave exhales. The embers hiss, and I am alone again, but I cannot stay here. I return to the cave wall and kneel before the mother's drawings, the tall and the small, the returning and the vanished. I trace the lines with my fingers, her lines, her pain. My breath catches. A thought surfaces, small and unwelcome. What if she followed something? What if she was taken? Not by beast or cold, but by someone. One of us. No, that is fear speaking, or is it truth? I rise again, heart pounding. I move to the back of the cave, where tools are stored. I pass the sleeping forms, blankets of furs, limbs curled into warmth. No one stirs. I take a flint blade, hide it beneath the leather at my waist. Not for them, for the wild, for what might wait beyond the hills. The judgment comes at dawn. But judgment only matters if I am here when it arrives. If I find her before the sun finds me, maybe they will. Listen. Maybe. I slip out of the cave, the cold slicing my lungs. The stars above are pale guardians. One step, then another. I run like she once did, toward the place where everything ended or began. Sleep never comes. Not real sleep, just the kind that drifts close enough to steal warmth, then vanishes when the dreams turn sharp. My eyes burn, but I keep them open. Around me, the tribe breathes in uneven rhythms. Some snore, others twitch, but no one dreams good things anymore. Not since the snow started falling too early. Not since the herd split. Not since she disappeared. I sit up, my back aches, my legs are stiff. I haven't moved since I lay down. The fire is nothing now, just embers, still alive, but barely. Like me. I stare into the flicker of orange and red, and the shadows dancing in its glow. I see her there, not her body, her spirit, a memory shaped by light and smoke. Her laugh, her eyes, the way she'd steal scraps when she thought. No one noticed, but I always noticed. They blamed me. I can feel it heavier now than ever. The silence is growing teeth. Soon it will bite. A figure stirs near the wall. The boy, Cern, not yet a hunter but already shocked. He watches me, then looks away when I catch him. He's afraid. Afraid of what I might say. Afraid I might say nothing. The unknown is worse than guilt. I rise slowly, bones crack. I grip the stone wall for balance and walk to the edge of the cave. The wind outside tastes of snow. The sky is black but not empty. The stars blink like eyes watching, judging, or maybe just old, too old to care. I kneel and place my hand on the ground. Cold, dry. She ran this way. I feel it. Somewhere beyond the hills. She vanished. Was it the spirits of beast? Did she fall? I saw no blood. But that doesn't mean she's alive. I close my eyes and try to feel her. The way the old ones feel the bones before a hunt. But all I feel is the wind. And the slow ache in my chest behind me. Footsteps, soft, careful. I turn. It's the shaman. He doesn't speak. He never does. He lifts a bone carved with symbols and holds it above my head. He shakes it once, twice, a third time. The sound is hollow. Then he points to the cave. To the tribe, then to me, then to the stars. It is the beginning of the ritual. The judgment will come with the dawn. I have until then to prove I am not what they fear. Until then to find the truth, or die with it buried beneath my silence. I nod. The shaman leaves. The cave exhales. The embers hiss, and I am alone again, but I cannot stay here. I return to the cave wall and kneel before the mother's drawings, the tall and the small, the returning and the vanished. I trace the lines with my fingers. Her lines of her pain. My breath catches. A thought surfaces, small and unwelcome. What if she followed something? What if she was taken, not by beast or cold, but by someone? One of us. No, that is fear speaking, or is it truth? I rise again, heart pounding. I move to the back of the cave, where tools are stored. I pass the sleeping forms, blankets of furs, limbs curled into warmth. No one stirs. I take a flint blade, hide it beneath the leather at my waist. Not for them. For the wild, for what might wait beyond the hills. That the judgment comes at dawn. But judgment only matters if I am here when it arrives. If I find her before the sun finds me, maybe they will. Listen. Maybe. I slip out of the cave, the cold slicing my lungs. The stars above are pale guardians. One step, then another. I run like she once did, toward the place where everything ended or began. I crouched behind the tree for what felt like an eternity, my breath caught between my teeth. The fire from the crude shelter flickered, casting warped shadows against the bark. They danced, those flames, like mocking spirits playing with my nerves. Each movement from within the shelter tightened my grip on the flint blade. I could hear the weight of my own heartbeat pounding in my skull. The cloaked figure inside moved slowly to calmly, as if he wasn't hiding, but waiting. And then I heard her, a sound so small, so fragile it could have been imagined. A whimper barely human. My skin froze. It was her. It had to be. That sound carved itself into my bones, unmistakable in its fear. I crept closer, slow as snow. The figure hunched forward over the fire, his back to me. I could see no face, just a thick hide draped over broad shoulders, and beside him a bundle covered still. I counted my breaths. 3.2.1. I lunged. The blade met flesh before the man even turned. He cried out a wet, surprised noise and fell onto the fire. Sparks screamed into the night. He rolled, smothering flames, but not before his cloak caught fire. In the light, I saw his eyes wild, wide, and unfamiliar. Not one of us. He clawed for a club, but I was faster. My second strike ended it. He dropped with a hollow grunt, and silence returned, broken only by my own gasping. I turned to the bundle. Trembling hands pulled back the hide, and there she was, alive, eyes wide, tear-tracked, face smeared with ash. She looked at me without recognition, at first, then her mouth opened, but no sound came. She reached out, touching my arm as if testing if I was real. "I found you," I whispered. Words were not our way anymore, but this one escaped. She cried, no loud sobs toward her from a place too deep for noise. I held her, not as a savior, just as someone who didn't let go this time. Her wrists were bound. I cut them. Her skin beneath was red, raw. She clung to me with weak fingers. "Can you walk?" I asked. She shook her head slowly. I carried her, wrapped her in furs left by the man, whoever he was. He had food, water, not much, but enough. Enough to bring us back to them. The thought struck me like a blow. What would they say? Would they believe me? Would they care? She was safe, but I was still guilty in their eyes. The tribe judged without waiting for truth, and the truth now was dangerous. This man, who was he? A wanderer, an exile, one of the forest tribes that sometimes left marks near the old bones. He had known how to trap, how to hide, how to burn. He had taken her. And if he had, maybe others would too. This was bigger than her, bigger than me. I stared into the dead fire he had built. I found symbols etched on the stones around it. Symbols not of our people, not of any I knew. I memorized them. I would draw them when I returned. If I returned, her weight on my back was nothing compared to the burden growing in my chest. The cold was rising again, but I walked, one foot after the other, back through the forest, back over the broken prints. I would not hide from them. I would not run. Let them judge me, but this time, I would bring fire of my own and truth, and the girl they thought I left behind. The journey back was not a walk, it was a test. My legs, numb from cold and effort, moved more by duty than will. She slept against my back, her breath shallow but steady, arms wrapped loosely around my shoulders. Each step felt heavier, not because of her, but because of what waited ahead. The forest had changed, or perhaps I had. The same trees now seemed more hostile. Shadows lingered longer. Every crack of branch or rustle of leaves made me flinch. I had taken a life, a man, one of the other tribes beyond ours. I had crossed a line that could not be undone when we stopped to rest. I laid her gently on a fur and sat beside her. She opened her eyes, just barely. I offered her a piece of dried meat. She chewed slowly. Her throat was dry and I held water to her lips. "I didn't leave you," I said. She blinked. That was enough. The sun was climbing when we reached the final ridge. From there, the cave was visibly a dark mouth against the white hill. Smoke curled from it. They were awake. I didn't stop as I crossed the clearing. Figures emerged. First Cern, the boy, then the mother, then the shaman, then the others, one by one, lining the edge of the cave like statues carved from judgment. They saw her before they saw me. Gasps, movement. The mother stepped forward, hands raised to her mouth, knees trembling. She cried out loud and broken at, ran to us. I knelt, lowered the girl gently into her arms. The mother wept. The girl did too. The sound struck the stone walls and echoed into the cold sky. But no one looked at me with relief. Not yet. The elder approached, his eyes deep as dried rivers, studied me in silence. I reached into my pouch and pulled out the stone I'd taken, the one with the carved symbols. I placed it at his feet. "I found her," I said, "but we were not alone out there." He knelt, picked it up, turned it in his hands. The tribe circled close. Faces showed fear, recognition, and confusion. "These marks," he said, voice low, "we've seen them long ago. Near the bones of the old places." I nodded. There was a man. Not one of us. He built a fire. He bound her. He waited. The mother let out another cry, this time mixed with fury. Her tears burned her cheeks. "She is home now," I said, "but we are not safe." The shaman stepped forward. He held out his staff and drew a circle around us in the dirt. Ritual, judgment. Speak, he said, and I did. I told them everything, every step, every shadow, every breath. I left nothing out, not the doubt, not the kill, not the fear. They listened when I finished. No one spoke. Then the elder stepped inside the circle. He placed his hand on my shoulder. You did not abandon her, he said. You brought her back. You brought us knowledge. You walked through darkness and did not lose your fire. He turned to the others. Let the stones remember this day. The tribe will remember. And in that moment, I felt something crack not outside me, but within. The stone of shame I'd carried began to crumble. The girl smiled at me, small, tired, real. I was not the boy who came back alone anymore. I was the one who returned through fire. And I had seen what waited beyond the trees. The real story was only beginning. The cave was never quiet after that. Not truly. Even when mouths were closed, the air spoke thicker now, humming with questions. I heard it in the way flint struck stone, in the way water was passed from hand to hand, in the way no one sat with their backs exposed to the darkness anymore. They believed me, or said they did. But belief is a fragile thing in a world where shadows grow teeth. I knew their silence meant more than words. They feared me still. They feared what I had seen even more. 3 days passed. The girl, still weak, slept in the mother's arms each night. I checked on her silently. She didn't speak, not with hands, not with voice. She looked at the fire the way a bird looks, at a net warm but dangerous. The shaman began marking the walls with new signs, not of hunting or the sun's path. These were older symbols of warning, of things beneath the earth, of men with no faces and fire without smoke. He called me to sit by the flames. We said nothing for a long while, just stared into the coals. Then, he pointed to my hands. My fingers still bore the blood of the fight, even after many washings. He gestured slowly, 3 shapes in the air. Man, flame, void. He believed me, truly, but what he asked shook me. Go back, his fingers said. Not in cruelty, not as punishment. As duty, find more, he signed. If they are many, we must know. I wanted to refuse. My body ached still, my mind more, but something deep beneath the layers of skin and bones said yes, said I was not done, said the world would not let me rest. That night I did not sleep. I carved her name into the cave wall beside mine. Her mark was a spiral, mine, a single cut. They touched dash-proof. In the morning I left. The tribe gave me meat, stone, water, a new blade. The shaman gave me his bone talisman, the one with 4 claws. He had never parted with it before. As I crossed the same ridge, I looked back, not one, turned away. Even the mother nodded. Sir, and handed me a torch. For when the dark is not enough, he said. I did not cry, but something in me loosened, and then I was gone, again, into the trees. This time I did not follow old paths. I cut new ones. The world beyond the girl's trail was wilder, the forest denser, the cold sharper. I found more signs, carvings, marks. On stones, a pile of bones, arranged in patterns, not left by beasts, left by minds. On the 3rd night I found a circle, not stones, people. 5 of them, around a fire. They didn't speak. They wore masks, not of animals, of faces crafted from bark and ash. Each mask had no mouth. They sat unmoving, staring into the flame. And then they turned their heads all at once toward me. The fire behind them flared. No wood burned, just light. I did not run. I could not. One of them stood, stepped forward, and raised an arm, not in greeting, in warning. Between us, the air bent like heat, and the voice I had buried deep inside the one I thought we had lost in our tribe rose up from my throat. Not a word, not a scream, but a sound that said, I am not prey. I drew the shaman's blade, and the circle watched and waited. The real danger had just begun. They stood like statues, the 5 of them, faces without mouths, eyes painted in pitch. I couldn't tell if they breathed. Their bodies moved only in the smallest, most inhuman way, stilts of the head, shifts in shadow. The fire between us crackled without wood. It burned without scent. It warmed nothing. I held the blade low, not to threaten, but to remind them and myself that I was not just a watcher in this forest. I was care. I had crossed the edge of death and returned. I had brought the girl home. I was not afraid, but I should have been. The one who had stepped forward came closer. I could hear nothing, no footsteps, no breath, just presence. He reached into its fur wrappings and produced a small object, a stone, carved like the one I had found before. It dropped it at my feet, then stepped back. Another mask moved. This one raised its hand and traced a circle in the air. Then another. 5 in all. It was a message. A counting. 5 circles, 5 tribes, 5 sacrifices. I didn't know. My pulse throbbed in my neck. My mind struggled to keep pace with the meaning. I crouched slowly and picked up the stone. This one was different. It bore not a warning but a map, crude lines, spirals, and a single symbol I recognized, the mountain scar. They knew where we lived. The message was clear. This was not the end of their reach. It was only the beginning. The one who had dropped the stone raised both arms now, elbows sharp, fingers stiff. A gesture of command, a farewell. I didn't wait to find out. I backed away. blade raised. They did not follow, but their heads remained turned toward me, watching as I disappeared back into the dark. I ran through roots in cold and fog. I ran until my legs burned, until my chest screamed, until I saw the stars again. When I finally collapsed, I stared at the sky through the branches. The stone pressed against my chest. My hands shook. I had seen them, they had seen me, and now I carried their mark. Sleep found me only when the stars had fled, and in my dreams I saw 5 fires, each one burning in silence, each one waiting for someone to walk into the circle, and I knew our tribe was not alone in the woods. We never had been. I returned to the cave with a taste of ash still in my throat. My steps were unsteady, my eyes wide. They welcomed me without celebration. The girl ran to me, her strength returning like spring in brittle soil. She saw my face and knew I had seen something worse than before. The shaman called a gathering not at the fire, but deeper beneath. There was a chamber few entered, a space used only when silence wasn't enough. We called it the Bone Hollow, carved under the cave's main room, through narrow stone, into the stomach of the mountain. The walls there were covered with the bones of those who came before us, arranged in rings, names painted in ochre. It was there the oldest truths were told. I placed the map stone in the center. They gathered around it, the elder, the mother, the hunters. The shaman knelt beside it and breathed a sound I'd never heard before. Not a chant, not a word, a trembling hum that made the bones rattle. I saw them, I said. 5, silent, masked. They gave me this. The elder did not blink. He stared at the symbol. Then he reached into his furs and withdrew something wrapped in old hide. When he unwrapped it, my breath caught a stone with the same symbol. Found, he said, many years ago near a hunting camp where the bodies had no wounds, only missing tongues. They had been here before. They wait, I told them. They watch. And now they know we've seen them. The shaman pressed a claw into his own palm until it bled. He smeared the blood on the cave wall, tracing the same spiral from the map. The tribe was silent, but not from fear, from decision. We would not wait to be taken that night. We prepared spears sharpened, stones painted, ash rubbed beneath our eyes. We would go to them, we would bring the fire to their circle, and if we did not return, our bones would speak the truth. We left before the sun, 8 of us, hunters, elders, the shaman, and me. The girl stayed, guarded by the few who could still wield a blade but could not walk long. She watched us go with eyes that had seen too much. The snow had melted in the lowlands, revealing earth slick with rot. The scent of change clung to the wind. It felt like the forest itself held its breath. We moved in silence, not out of fear, but reverence, as though stepping into a sacred wound. Every branch that cracked underfoot felt like a warning we chose to ignore. The shaman led us by signs, small carvings on bark, piles of stone, broken branches, all markers I hadn't seen on my first journey. They had been watching us longer than we knew. By midday we reached the place I had fled. The fire circle was gone. No ash, no footprints, only disturbed earth, like something massive had sat there and then vanished. They cleaned it, the elder whispered. They don't want to be remembered. I stepped forward and knelt where the masked one had stood. I pressed my hand to the soil. It was still warm. Then I heard it, a breath, not mine, not wind. We turned, blades drawn. The trees answered with movement, subtle, calculated, figures shifting in the periphery, never fully in view. 5, 10 more, a whistle sharp and low cut through the air. We backed into a circle, spears outward, heartbeats rising. They didn't attack. They revealed, one by one, shapes emerged from the trees, not cloaked, not masked, but painted black from head to toe, silent, motionless. Between them stood a figure taller than the rest. A mask of bone, white and cracked, covered its face. It stepped forward, dragging something behind it, a bundle. The shaman stepped forward. Speak, he commanded. The masked figure lifted the bundle and dropped it at our feet. A body from a neighboring tribe, tongue removed, eyes open, not in death but in terror. This is a message, I said, not a gift. The masked figure raised a hand and pointed past us to our mountain, to our home. Then they vanished, as if swallowed by the trees themselves. We buried the body, said no words that night. We did not sleep, we built no fire. We kept watch, eyes open, backs to one another. The enemy had no voice, but their silence screamed louder than any war cry, and we knew the war had begun. We returned with more than fear. We brought knowledge terrible and undeniable. The masked ones had shown themselves not to threaten but to promise. They knew our land, our faces. They wanted us to know it too. The mountain welcomed us back with stillness. Even the birds had gone quiet. When we climbed to the cave, there were no voices to greet us, just the wind and smoke, thin and gray, curling from the mouth of the cave like a spirit too tired to rise. I ran. The smell hit me first. Burned wood, burned fur, something worse. Inside, the fire pit had been overturned. Ash scattered, bones cracked, blackened, still warm. They had come too fast, too precise. They had taken the girl. No signs of battle, no screams left behind. Only the claw mark I had carved with her by violently, as if to say, your bond is broken. I dropped to my knees, the world tipping sideways. My mind reached for reason, for hope, but there was none. Just the echo of what we had feared. Realized that the tribe was gone. Not all dead. I could feel it. Some were taken. For what? I did not know. Sacrifice, conversion, something worse. I stood, my blade felt heavier now, as if it too had seen too much. The others gathered, the ones who had survived, ones who had not gone on the mission. A handful, all broken-eyed, all staring at me. What now? One asked. I looked at the shaman. He did not speak. He handed me his staff. I understood they would not follow an elder. They would follow fire. So we lit torches, dozens, and carved one word into the stone. Above the cave, a word not spoken for generations. Spheric, it meant the reckoning. We walked into the trees. The flames behind us burned for those lost. The flames ahead burned for those we would face. I do not know what waits in the dark, but I know what waits in silence, and I am no longer silent.